Join us today as we go to Bill's Grand's house here in Ramona. The club.
I am the Vice President of Education. I run all the classes, all the workshops, so the majority of what you see here truly belongs to the club. Probably 2/3 of it.
So just talk about ficus.
Okay.
Frost, no frost, frost.
Oh, I get frost. That's why this was a cold year. So if you look, this is a ficus rumpi. It went completely deciduous this year. Dropped everything, but you see all the new growth. I'm pushing. I got all new leaves pushing. This is a ficus rumpi. Ficus benjamina, too little. Didn't drop anything. The Bert Davii dropped a bunch of leaves, but they're all starting to push now. This, I don't know if it's going to come back now. It's gone deciduous before. This is a triangularis.
Oh, okay.
Let's see what I scratched down here and find out.
It's still green.
It's still green. It'll push.
All right.
So this dropped all the branches. This was a much longer tree. I lost a lot on this one here. It was a very long, cold winter for us this year. So these are nerifolias.
And they do pretty well out here then.
They do. So my personal nerifolia is in that corner over there. You can see I did a massive chop on it last year. I don't know, October or something like that, one of our last Ficus Club meetings, I cut everything off. This all grew back, and it got a little beat up over the winter, but that's all growth from the chop. And it's been out sitting in this spot right here since I did it last year.
Okay.
Not inside, not anything.
So that was pretty tough for San Diego, or
on
this warmer, drier part of San
They
Diego.
do fine. This is Ficus ingens. New leaves come in red. Don't mind the broken pot. It got knocked off.
Yeah, that's normal, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been growing this since it was about the size of that top little branch right there. And that's what I've grown out of it. That's actually a cutting off of a bigger one over here.
Nice.
Bougainvilleas, they went deciduous this year. They're just starting to come back. A couple bogies over here.
And that's really classic for Southern Cal.
Deciduous is not really, they're everywhere. So bogies are everywhere in the ground, and they do just fine. But these truly went deciduous. I lost all leaves, everything on them. But you can see
They're pushing.
this in the last week. This is grown in the last week. That's potato vine. It loves the heat.
Where are we, by the way, Bill?
We are in Ramona in the San Diego Country Estates.
And where is Ramona in comparison to San Diego? So people have never been to San Diego, have an idea.
We are in the northeast corner of the county, up above Escondido. So we're in the low hills up above. I think we're at about 1,300 feet right here, roughly. And I don't know if you said the stairs coming down. This is I call it the bottom lot. There is often a 3 to 5 degree temperature difference between here and my driveway. When the cold in the winter, because cold falls down, it can be 3 to 5 degrees literally in the 30 feet from there to there. Junipers do well here. Those are all club junipers, all nanas for classes.
Yeah.
So there's 50 or so. There's a couple that are mine, but 50 or so nanas there. As we go this way.
Wait a minute. I see no sprinkler system. Is this all hand watered?
I water by hand.
Oh, God bless you.
Hour and a half to 2.5, depending on the day, every day. Sometimes twice, depending on the year. Time of year. So that's a green island ficus. Wonderful. These are, don't mind the mess. This is Salicaria. These are cuttings off of that one down there.
Okay.
And this has been in this pot for, I don't know, a couple years now. It might actually be something someday. Same thing with this one. Don't mind the weeds. But that is a cutting off that one over there. And again, it's been in this pot and doing just fine outside full time.
So what's one suggestion to a beginner or someone that's coming into this hobby about their layout?
So this has been a progression over the years I've been doing this. I started up by the house in a small corner, And as I tell many people who get into bonsai, you get a tree and you work on it and you're so excited. So you go and buy another tree, and then you go buy another tree, and you go buy another tree. And next thing you know, you have a lot of trees. So then you say, I stick them all together. Then you say, I stick them on a bench. And then you get this. Or you get out of trees totally all together. Those are the two options. So I recommend to everyone, join a club, find people who are doing what you're doing. Work on, when people first get involved into bonsai, they get a lot of really bad trees. Because they say, oh, it's a tree, it's alive, I can make a bonsai out of it. And they don't understand what they're looking at. They don't understand taper and nabari and all that kind of stuff. So what happens in the club is you get through that for a couple years, and then you start learning better, and you start getting better trees, and you start recycling those trees back down. And that's what comes on the auction table and the raffle tables every month. There are people who have had trees, you had it for 2 or 3 years, you've learned more, you realize this is never be what I want to be, but some new guy coming in, this is a great tree for him to play with. Awesome. And so stuff cycles up and cycles down. Because again, when you first start, everything can be a bonsai. It's alive. I can do this. And then a couple years later, if you're still into this, you go, boy, what was I thinking?
There's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite tree out here? That's yours.
That's my favorite stuff. This is a Hokkaido elm.
Oh, I thought you were putting a little pot over there.
No.
You're just moving.
This is one of my favorites. It's in the bathtub right now, but I'm going to repot it next year and hopefully be in the spring show next year. So I love this tree a lot.
What is a Hokkaido elm? People don't know what it is.
So Hokkaido elm is a sport of a Chinese elm. I have lots of elms here. I have Hokkaidos, Seijus, Yatsubusas, variegated, standard Chinese elms. So this is a standard Chinese elm. This came from the Ted Schwartz collection.
We know who Ted Schwartz is.
I know you do. You have a tree that I wanted from Ted Schwartz. Oh, this got knocked over. That's not good.
Oh, I thought you did that on purpose.
No, no, that's I did not. I don't know what happened to that. So this I bought as a future carving project. I cut it back hard this year. This is all new growth in the last month and a half. This was truly just this trunk was all that was there a month and a half ago. So Chinese elms do very well in Ramona also. So your standard Chinese elm, and then someone somewhere got this is a Seiju, got a variety with a small leaf that stayed leaf and started corking. So this is actually the roots of a tree I bought out of Massachusetts.
Massachusetts? That's a little far, isn't it?
Yeah, that's where I'm from. I was visiting my family, and I went to Bonsai West, and I bought this Seiju elm. And I cut those roots off the bottom of it. I literally took it, cut the bottom off in that pan. You see it, that plastic pan. And I left them at my parents' house. And I said, Mom, if this grows, mail it to me.
It grew.
And that's what grew out of it.
And did she mail it in the mail or just
yes,
I
mail myself stuff all the time when I go back there. I dig trees up occasionally. I just box them up correctly. If you know what you're doing, when you're doing, shipping is not an issue. Priority mail.
You got to talk about that wisteria right behind you. That's beautiful. Little end of the season though.
We're at the tail end. This is first time I ever went to Bonsai-a-thon from the raffle table.
How many years ago?
7 or 8, maybe.
Wow.
Something like that. I got it off the raffle table. It blooms profusely every year. Sadly, if we look here, we got one that's still got a little bit of life in the flowers left. It's a beautiful bloom.
It's a beautiful light. It's like a violet purple.
This is a light purple. And this one here, which is almost gone by also.
No, I didn't notice it was those. Oh, is that a Chinese? Japanese?
So this is supposed to be a Japanese. I bought this from a lady in Los Angeles when I first got into bonsai in about 2012. I went to her yard and dug this up. I had to dig it up myself.
Oh, it's a Yamadori. Oh, Yamadori.
It's a Yardadori. It's ugly as sin. But every year it puts out the most beautiful sets of flowers, and every year I say I'm going to repot it, and then it starts blooming, and I say never mind, and I let it live. So if you ignore down here, When this thing is in bloom, it is and it does huge racemes of this nice dark purple. So I have a lighter purple there, a darker purple here. They both bloom every
That's
year.
pretty.
This is one of my favorite trees. And I said this needs to be repotted desperately and do something with these ugly roots. And I don't do it because I love
You like the
the
flowering?
bloom.
Yeah.
I love the bloom.
That's a great transition. So how did you when did you start bonsai and how did you get into it?
I was working with a guy who had a medical issue and he couldn't drive, and my work asked me if I would carpool with him because I was working. It's a 75-mile commute.
75, you mean like an hour and a half?
Hour and 12 in the morning, hour and 19 in the evening. I commuted 150 miles a day round trip for almost 14 years before I retired.
That's like 3 hours of your life you'll never get back every day.
Yes, I did. And so his name was Chuck, and I was carpooling with him. And his father is a Japanese American, his stepfather, and just talking about various things. He talked about his dad had trees. I think they're cool, this and that. And when he got his license back after 6 months, my first day with him, I got back. He said he wanted to drive. I opened the car door, and there was a tree and a pot sitting there.
Oh, that was your first
And
introduction?
that was my introduction, yes. And so I went to the club to figure out how to keep it alive, which I was not successful at.
Yeah.
But I still have the pot, and that is what started Chuck giving me a tree for giving him a ride every day to work for 6 months. He gave me a bunch. It was very nice of him. A bunch of gift cards. I never charged him. He gave me a bunch of gas cards, and that tree because we had talked about me liking trees and his stepfather having trees.
Awesome.
And that's what started it.
And look at you now.
And look at me now. I know.
The only thing is missing is it was a toll to get in.
No. This is another one of my favorites. It needs a ton of work.
That's a small tree.
Yeah.
Good Shohin. Me tilt the camera a little more.
Slightly overgrown Shohin, cork bark Chinese elm, another elm. I have a lot of elms. I like them.
I think it's because they do well. I think because they do well. They're easy to take care of.
Super hardy, easy to take care of, and that bark is gorgeous. This is actually, I think, the back. You see, I lost a few after I got it, but it's still healthy and happy. The front, it needs a lot of work, but story of my life, it needs a lot of work.
Wow, that looks awesome.
Yeah.
Talk about your benches. Your benches are really tall. Is there a reason why they're so tall?
Yeah, there is actually. So prior to me doing bonsai, I used to breed fish. I've had a lot of strange hobbies over the years. And these benches are a variation of the benches of the racks I used to keep fish tanks in.
So that's why
And so this rack, when it was a fish tank rack, it was only the centerpiece, and I could put 1, 2, 3, 4 60-gallon tanks on the center rack. And so when I started to build my first set of benches, I built the same thing, and I thought, okay, I'll just run them out 4 feet. And you take an 8-foot 2x4, and it divides out to make 16, 16, 16, and that is how the benches started. It progressed a little bit. So if the gap's kind of wide, small pots don't fit on them too well.
You can see the side
so
here.
I put some narrow. So I added some extras in here. I'm actually getting a whole bunch of new benches the next week or two. Sally Pastel.
Yes.
So I've been offered all of her benches, and I'm going to take them all because I have.
You got a lot on the ground.
I have a lot of stuff on the ground that I'd love to get off the ground,
Yeah.
and so I'm going to take. It's very generous of her to help me get them off the ground, and so a lot of stuff I'm going to run a row along the fence there and on that fence over there, and bring a bunch of this stuff off the ground.
I met Sally once. She's a really nice lady. She's real energetic little person there.
And living in here, we have wildlife issues, so I run a constant battle with rats, rabbits, groundhogs, ground squirrels. It is a constant battle at all times.
Coyotes?
I've only seen coyotes on the property once.
Oh wow. Okay.
Actually, on my driveway, come out one morning, there was this coyote sitting there going, "Hey, how you doing?"
Mountain lions? Because
I have not seen a mountain lion, but it would not surprise me if they're local. They're around here. They wouldn't surprise me in the least.
because you're really in like wilderness. I mean, you get look at this look at the view he gets though. Look at that view.
Yeah.
There's no neighbors. It's great.
That's part of why I bought this house, because the house right there wasn't here when I bought it. It was an empty lot.
Well, now there's someone's
Now someone's there, but
yeah.
they call that Stone Mountain. I love my view front and back.
Yeah, that's why I said it's mountain lions, because that wouldn't surprise me either.
It wouldn't surprise me. Another one of my favorites is a rosemary.
You gotta stand by. It's how big this is not a Shohin. You know, most rosemaries are like ground cover. Mine Bill is almost like 6 foot tall, so yeah.
This is This is truly one of my favorite trees. I repotted it for the first time. I've had it for about 4 years. I repotted it 3 months ago. And as everyone knows, that's the worst thing you can do to a rosemary is repot it.
Because it doesn't like its beach touched.
And so, but this is all beautiful new growth, all fresh new growth. I have it flowers. I get bees on this all year long. I got all this beautiful new growth, so I'm going to call my repot a success.
You know, rosemaries are pretty tough. I killed so many in my lifetime. I've given up on rosemaries.
But yeah, so this is truly one of my favorite trees. I got this from the Kusamoto family out of the ground when they were selling out of Fallbrook. They were an old Japanese family who produced trees. This is a pink ume I just got.
The one in the back. Sorry
This
for the
one in the
shakiness. Oh, geez.
So I just got this from Lone Pine. There's a funny story of Mr. Lau that Lone Pine had posted a picture of an ume in bloom. And I said, pink ume, I want it. And Tom said, no ume for you. And that started a long conversation with Steve Price and myself where he was coming down with an empty truck and I got a sale together for him, brought a bunch of trees down for other club members and stuff, allowed him to bring a truck with half full down to buy and take it back up full with other stuff he was buying. So that pink ume is what started the whole thing.
It's always a running joke. It's
been a running joke for a long time that I want pink ume. It's
And
taken me quite a while now. Now I have a big one. This is a Styrax japonica.
Beautyberry? No. Bellberry? No.
Japanese snowbell.
Snowbell, that's what it is.
So I got one flower, just opened it, the first one to open. I just got this also.
Wait, isn't snowbells need like frost for it to...
So I have frost every year here.
Oh, interesting.
I get cold. I
Well,
don't
that's
get
right.
snow, but I get frost.
Oh, you do get frost.
I had frost as late as April this year, which is abnormal, very cold. But in April, I have a picture of my car in my driveway with frost on it.
Oh, interesting.
So you'll notice that we're in shade down here. This side of the yard gets morning sun, and starting at about 11 o'clock, these live oaks keep this whole corner in shade.
Okay.
Which is why the boxwoods all look so wonderful.
Because they're not in full
They're
sun.
not in full sun. They love the heat. Heat doesn't bother them.
It's just the sun
bothers them. So if you look at all these boxwoods, people say to me, "Oh my God, how do your boxwoods get such growth and all this new growth and green?"
Put them in the shade.
They are in shade at all times. Like all morning, all afternoon. Excuse me. Morning sun, afternoon shade.
It's like a hedge.
And this is all club material. This is
For your beginner class.
Beginner classes here, intermediate classes here. So yeah, you mentioned ume. That's a white ume. This is a white ume. This is a pink ume. That's big one's a pink. This is actually Doyle Saito's tree.
Ah,
He gave this to me to get some cuttings so I could graft pink ume onto that one from Bob Pressler. And he just keeps saying, I keep saying, Doyle, when you want me to bring your tree back, he says, I'll let you know. So it sits here. This is all growth this year. All over the screen, they put a massive growth. All this green stuff, this all grew in the last 2 months.
nice.
This is another ume. This one, I don't know what color it is. I got that from the sale of when Harry Harrow's stuff all got sold at Huntington. I think that actually came from San Gabriel. That's never bloomed. These bloom profusely. You'll notice that this one is a lot longer than that one. That's because this one decided to wake up 2 weeks earlier than that one. I didn't get a chance to get it repot.
Those are big trunks.
They are big trunks.
Were they were yard trees at one point?
I don't know.
Okay, they look like yard trees at one
They
point.
could have been. They were donated. I bought them. Well, I bought one, and one was donated to the club. Then I bought it off the club by a club member's nephew. So I repotted that one a couple months ago, a month and a half or so ago. This one won't, so I cut it way back, and I'll show you all my cuttings, which hopefully look like they're still taking. We'll see. I chopped this way back, repotted it, put it in that pot. It was in the same size pot here. So that blue pot's the same length, same width, but only about half the height.
Yeah.
And that's about the size it'll stay in long term.
And this is like sits in full shade all year long.
It's full shade all year long, blooms every year, beautiful white blooms all over it.
Yeah.
They're very fragrant. Both of these are very, very fragrant.
Well, see, it's interesting because mine needs like full sun, and it's microclimates. This is microclimates.
I guess so they've done, ever since I've kept them here, they've done very, very well. This is Shishigashara, Japanese maple.
How's that do here? Because it does.
I've had them for a year. I got them from Lowe's on the burnout pile.
Oh, the 50% pile or the 75% pile?
75, because they had I got it for like $40 each, and they were like 130, I think, was their
Oh yeah,
price.
so
So they were thrashed.
because they only go up to like what, 8, region 8.
Yeah,
we're like 10
9.
B.
No, we're in 9A.
Oh no, 9A.
This is 9A.
Okay.
But so
It looks
far,
pretty healthy.
It's healthy. It's happy. Doing well.
Look at that. Look how you don't see them. Usually they're like burnt out, early on.
Nope. They're again. This is in shade almost all day. This is a azalea called Green Glow, and they call it that because they're starting to go.
There's a green tinge.
There is a green tinge to the buds, and you can see this one here. There is truly a green tinge to the flowers. That was a gift from Maury to me. This one is just called White Lace. This one blooms profusely. It's been in the same soil for 5 years. I'm afraid to touch it, other than I chopped it way, way back. It had a head. This is not a joke. It had a head this big. It fell over. It kept falling over. It was so heavy.
That's, I talked to Nuccio. He says you can just cut the heck out of them.
I chopped it back. So once these last few blooms go, I'm chopping it back again. I'm going to take it so I took it from this to smaller than this. This is all new growth. This year it bloomed already. They're all going. And I'm going to take it to about this next week.
Yeah.
And I'm chopping it hard.
Yeah, that's Tom says you can cut it as hard as you want, and they should come right back.
So this is, like I say, my shipment in from Lone Pine Gardens. I just got all this stuff in. This is a lot of club stuff, all these different chojubais. I have white chojubais, red chojubais. This is my Bjornholm Kabudachi experiment.
Oh, you actually made one.
I did. And believe it or not,
how did it go? So this is year 2 then?
This is year 3.
Year 3, okay.
And there's 11 trunks in there. All 11 of them are alive. Julian Sai was at the club lot a couple of weeks ago, and he says I said, wait a couple more weeks. I'm going to cut this. It's just finishing hardening off now, as you can tell.
Oh yeah.
Once it finishes hardening off, I'm going to take this way back down in. I'm going to clear all this. I mean, like I said, you really can't even see, but
they're pretty good. They're good sized trunks too.
And they are merged. I mean, I don't know what it looks like underneath. But
how does it look during fall? Is it pretty? Does it get beat up pretty?
It gets kind of beat. So if you let them get burnt, and if you have the time, and you defoliate them in about July to August, they'll put a new second leaves out, and they get smaller and they look better.
How's your water? Is it well water, city water?
No, this is pure Ramona water. It's well water.
So
that means sorry, not well, but it's city water. It's the same water you get anywhere in Southern California.
Okay. I'm
a professional water person. What I did for 30 plus years. I work for water districts, and
so
our water's pretty much, no matter where you go, unless you have wells, pretty much all the same.
It's pretty hard,
hard alkaline water. Yeah. That's what we have.
Okay. I was wondering.
Yeah.
Because I don't see much scale on your pots. That's why I'm like. It's not very evident.
I water heavily, and I water a lot, but I don't really overspray. I water through.
Okay.
I try not to. Water's cost me a lot of money. I spent a lot of money on water, so I try to keep the water where it belongs.
Oop.
In the pot, not running outside and stuff till it runs through. This is a Trident Maple from Dennis Makashima's collection.
Oh, did you go up to the...
I did not. Fred Miyahara got this for me. It was in a plastic cut-down pot. I put it in this. Julian and I, we cut it way, way back, and we'll see what we grow. But so far, it's happy.
Yeah.
These are various Toyanishikis from Tak Shimazu.
Hey, we know that guy.
Yeah, you were just there. So you did a whole deal on his the bush on the hill.
Yes.
So Toyanishiki, Nichigesai. This is Nichigesai on Toyanishiki grafted. You can graft them because you can see that. Sadly, if you were here last week, they look so much prettier. But you can see the graft, and Tak grafted this. That you can be successful grafting Toyanishiki.
Yeah.
And that is a graft from Tak.
I'm surprised you don't put it in the ground. I put mine in the ground.
Well, if you look, you'll see nothing but red clay.
Is that indicative?
This whole lot is red clay, and so it may end up there eventually. I don't know. One of them, so I can grow one like Tak, because I've seen the one in full bloom at his house in person, and it's mind-boggling.
Yeah. All right, one advice for a member that's new, or a member that's been in for a while. What advice would you give them? Other than go join a club, you said that
Yeah,
already,
I said earlier,
and that's probably big.
Other than that, really try to think about what you want from bonsai. Some of us are gluttons for punishment. Why do I have Japanese maples and Styrax japonicas and things like that in Ramona? Because I'm kind of a glutton for punishment. I like to try stuff that maybe doesn't work, but if you're just really getting into it, talk to people. What grows well? Look at your neighbors. What's in their yards? If their junipers growing well, do junipers. If there's Raphael lepus doing well, do Raphael lepus. Do something that grows well in your neighborhood, and start from there. And the other biggest thing is bonsai is a hobby of patience. So have patience with your trees. If you expect to have a perfect tree in a minute, you are going to be very, very disappointed. Learn that it's time and grow it and take your time and truly enjoy what the bonsai hobby is. And then meet really cool people like Tom Lau who will help you out and stuff.
Except no pink ume for you.
No pink ume for me. I got pink ume. Ha!
Thanks a lot for your time today.
Absolutely.